Yeah, so our 6 values are stay curious, my friends, make it better, obsess over customers, stronger together, optimism wins, and be humble. Those kind of things really take customers and then turn them into advocates and fans. Going a little above and beyond could make a really huge difference. That I found interesting with customers is that oftentimes they're going to complain, but they don't even expect a response. They're just sort of venting.
Welcome to Future Fuzz, the digital marketing podcast.
All right, welcome in. I am Vince Quinn, and today we're talking about making beautiful music with your customers. And joining us for this conversation is Jeff Perkins. He is the CEO of Soundstripe. Jeff, welcome to Future Fuzz.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks for having me on the pod. Excited for the conversation.
Yeah, thanks for dealing with that terrible, corny line I had to open the show. It made me cringe, but you know what? I went for it. I have no shame, and it just is what it is. So the band plays on.
Dude, as someone who does a lot of his own dad jokes and totally just humiliates my kids constantly with them, I get it. I'm always up for a good corny pun, bad dad joke, have at it.
Beautiful. All right. I'm going to take that license and use it liberally. So first off, just give people a little bit of a background of what Soundstripe is and how you help people.
Sure. So Soundstripe is really one of the top marketplaces for music for creators. So you think about everyone from someone making a film, television show, advertising, all the way down to a YouTuber. What's a really important element of their project? It's music. And music is about 50% of the way we absorb visual communication. And so having the right track in your project really is the difference between maybe an average video and an extraordinary story. And so we offer a catalog of human-made, high-quality music across really all genres that's just great for people who are creating content to make their projects really go to the next level with a great score. We've been around for about 10 years. We have 58,000 tracks in our library, and we work with Grammy award-winning industry musicians and sound engineers. So everything that's in the Soundstripe catalog is going to be really, really high quality. And then we really think it really makes your video projects pop.
Yeah. It totally does. I mean, just from the sense of when I turn on certain videos, I'm at a website for a company. I'm like, all right, what are they about? And then you hear like, dun, 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 and it's like that standard corporate corny elevator music. Like my eyes roll into the back of my head and I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. Or I can't tell you, the way that, for example, growing up, like every car commercial I feel like on the planet had Led Zeppelin in it. And so it ruined Led Zeppelin for me, whether I heard it in a commercial, whether I heard it at a bar. Like I just thought of, I don't know, like a Ford driving on the highway. And I was like, man, but it's the idea that, for people at that time, you're hitting on nostalgia. That's your value of music there. And like, that's the thing that connects. You want that emotional thing. For me, I was too young. And so it was just car commercials. But anyway, all of that to say, music is incredibly important for setting the tone of all of this stuff, building relationships. And like you said, setting the tone for how the message is received. And with that, what I thought was cool is the way that you go about the customization with the music, like the flexibility. So just explain that a little bit, because I think it's really unique and really cool.
Yeah. So with all of the songs in our library, we give you what are called stems, so the different elements of the song. So you might find a song in our library where you love it, but there's a vocal track on it. And you're like, I really don't want a vocal track, or the vocal track that's on it really doesn't match the vibe I'm going for. So you just take it out because we give you the stem. So you could take the different elements, or you might see a song and you say, hey, I really love the guitar riff in that song. And that's all I want. You just take the guitar riff in that song and that becomes the driving force in your project. We also have a tool that lets you manipulate a song. It's basically an AI song editor. So sometimes you're working on a project and maybe the start of the video has like a slow build. And then you find this song and the song like starts really fast, but then gets slow. This AI song editing tool gives you the ability to move around elements of the song so they perfectly match your project. And then it basically remasters the song so it actually sounds like a perfect composition. So it's a really nice tool that lets you quickly and easily take a song and really tailor it to the video project you're working on.
Yeah, which as somebody who's edited a lot of audio in my time, I can't tell you how much of a nightmare it is to try to rearrange a song like that on your own, and you're trying to match up the beats and all these and crossfade. It's like it wastes so much time. So when I heard about that, I was like, oh man, that's amazing. Like that's really cool. So I love those features. I think it's great, but I want to switch gears a little bit now and kind of just dig into the CEO side of it. I mean, you are the CEO of Soundstripe, and first off, just as you approach that role, as you've been in it, really, how do you see yourself as a CEO? How would you describe your approach to things?
Well, when you're a CEO, you're really a coach. You're basically the head coach of the organization, and you have different people that you're working with. And if you think about it like a football team, you have the head coach, and then you have the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. And in the CEO world, you have the head coach who's the CEO, and then you have the CFO, and you have the head of sales, and you have the head of marketing and the head of technology. And really your job as the CEO is to work with your team and make sure everyone's aligned. Everyone's going in the same direction. Really work closely with your direct reports and make sure they have everything they need. They understand what we're trying to do. They're very clear on the strategies and tactics that we're working through. And then from an organizational standpoint, really the important role of the CEO is to set the tone, really be clear on what we're doing, where we're going, and also being clear around what are our core values as an organization. Like, who are we? How do we act? And having core values, I found, is really sort of a secret sauce for a lot of companies. Because if you don't have them, people in the organization sometimes feel rudderless. Like they don't know who we are. It's hard to understand our identity. They don't know where we're going. So I've always found being very intentional about establishing core values and then being almost annoyingly redundant in the way you're constantly reinforcing those core values really on a daily and weekly basis across your organization. Because really, the core values should drive who you hire, who you promote, who gets fired, what partners you work with. And so, I'm really big on, as a CEO, really making sure everyone understands the core values and they are really a part of the day-to-day life of our employees.
So that's the important thing, Jeff, is you mentioned not just the idea of having the values, but it's really being about the values and constantly instilling the values, right? I'm going to quote Seinfeld for a second here. I'm a Seinfeld nut. I think this is the second time so far I've quoted Seinfeld recently on a show. It's not that you took the reservation. You need to hold the reservation. And that's what it's all about. So talk to me a little bit from the mindset of what these values are. Like, what are your 6 values there?
Yeah, so our 6 values are stay curious, my friends, make it better, obsess over customers, stronger together, optimism wins, and be humble. And so we worked on this as a leadership team. We kind of stress test it with some of our employees within the company to make sure that these worked. And, we found them to be very, very good and really true to who we are as an organization, and also easy to understand for our employees. Obsess over our customers is really you kind of get what that means. Stronger together, you get what that means. And so it's really important that you have core values that people could easily grasp and understand, and they kind of see themselves in the different core values. And so the way I think about it, if you have someone in the organization who is a total cynic and just is always negative about everything, that person might not belong in the organization, because we believe optimism wins. That's one of our core values. So that's kind of the way we look at this. And we also put these core values in performance reviews. So as people are evaluating, their direct employees, they're always looking at, okay, does this person exemplify our core values? Do they live up to the core values we have as an organization?
Yeah, and if their curiosity score is low and they don't ask about it, then I think that answers your question, right?
Exactly.
So, okay. Well, I love all that. I mean, from the implementation process, then, when it comes to that goals of operation, I mean, so this starts at hiring. Then, are these basically checkboxes in the hiring process? How soon does this take place? How early are you implementing these things?
Yeah, in the hiring process. So as you are interviewing people and you're thinking about bringing them on, you're required to fill out a form. And in that form, you say, does this person exemplify the 6 core values we have as an organization? Stronger together. Do they seem like a team player? Are they humble? And you really have to ask yourself that when you're interviewing candidates, so you have a clear view like, yeah, this person will fit within our culture. Because even if you hire someone and they're good on 5, but maybe off on 1, it may not work. They may be an outlier in the culture. And when people are outliers in the culture, I find they usually don't stay in the company that long. So it's really critical that you look at those core values and you look at your employees, who you hire, and then also who you reward and who you retain over time. It's a really important part of the process, making sure everyone kind of lives those core values. And we even will do awards based on the core values annually. So if you are, we always want people to really to exemplify the core values. And so we'll award the person who's really exemplified, obsessing over customers or optimism wins. We really like to make sure we're rewarding the people and recognizing people who exemplify these core values for us as an organization.
Okay, I love that. That absolutely rules. Please do that until the end of time. So let me ask you about obsessing over the customer then, because that's one of those things that I think is so fascinating. Like, how are you obsessing over the customer? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we have really great customer service for a company our size. We have a human that will actually pick up the phone and talk to you. We have detailed documentation. And, our product is not that complex. You sign up, you want to download music, and you go get the music. And so it shouldn't be that hard for people to use it, but we want to make sure we're really giving sort of white glove service, like people can get questions answered. The complexity of our business is usually around the licensing part of it. And so that's really murky for a lot of people. And so we were able to answer a lot of those questions. But we really just try to be as available to our customers as possible. We do provide a lot of documentation so they can help, but it's really important to us that every interaction people could have with us, they're having a really good experience.
Yeah, and in terms of good experiences, I feel like I hear a future fuzzy friend in the background. I would love an introduction, Jeff. I mean, you can't just have a dog hanging out over there and not tell me about it. What kind of dog do you have, Jeff?
Yeah, let's see. So that's Coco, who she likes to hang out in the office. You see her over there? I got her.
Yeah, so and what kind of dog is Coco for the people who are listening to this?
Coco is a mutt, and she's apologetic that she's interrupting our podcast interview, but she's a mutt. We had her DNA tested, and she's a mix of Weimaraner, Siberian Husky, and Boston Terrier. So that's so she's got a really interesting breed. She's 9, but she's a great athlete. We still go running a lot, and she's hard to keep up with.
You love to see it. And I mean, hey, when it comes to human engagement, who's better than dogs, right? Yeah. They get engagement. They're all about it. So,
exactly.
So let's bring it back then. And Coco can join us as much as she'd like. She's welcome to chime in if she has opinions. But from the idea then of like this surprise and delight, right? This like engaging with people, doing fun things, out of the box things, building those relationships. First off, like, how do you get started with that? How do you get to a place where you decide like, hey, we're going to do something fun and unexpected for people?
Yeah, I've always found that with your customers, generally they have low expectations when working with different solution providers, different vendors. And sometimes just going a little above and beyond could make a really huge difference. And so we always try to think, what would be things we can do that, our customers just might like engage them. So whether it's, hey, a customer's been with us for a year or 2 years, we're going to send them a t-shirt, we're going to send them a swag bag, things like that. Or even we had a customer the other day who actually made a negative comment about us on social media. They were frustrated with something. And so we have trackers that pick these things up, and we saw it and we said, well, it's actually, the point that he was making was actually fair. And we had one of our executives go in and reply to the thread in a very nice way. Because this guy wasn't trolling. He was giving actually productive feedback. But the last thing this guy thought was like, the CTO of the company was going to come in and send him a note. And then I sent him a DM to tell him how I appreciated his comment. But those kind of things really take customers and then turn them into advocates and fans, right? Because they know it's not just they're not just working with a company that makes music. They're actually working with people. And if you can connect with customers on a more human level, it really does make a big difference in retention and advocacy from those customers.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to engage with people and for somebody as a customer to have at least the idea that you could potentially really be heard by the people that matter. I mean, for me, like on a simple level, right, way less significant. But when I was first getting into media, I thought about television a lot, and television is interesting. But what I loved about radio was the fact that when you say something on the air, you are directly accountable for that, and people will call in and can talk to you on the air about what you said. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy on television to just go, hey, I think it's A and B and C, and nobody counters you. Nobody's able to come in and give an opinion on that. And like, you just say whatever you want. And it doesn't interact. And even if you say something on social media, it doesn't have a direct impact on the conversation. But like when it's right there and people can access you, it just opens up everything. And I think it makes people more engaged. They want to be a part of it. And when you get this mindset of, oh, I don't know if they're listening, like maybe they will actually hear my feedback. I'm sure you get a lot of good information that way. I mean, what is the value of getting a justified negative complaint and the improvement that you guys get from that? Like, that's all good,
Yeah, it helps us learn. And if you get the same complaint over and over, you got to have pattern recognition and be like, oh, maybe we need to do something about that. So it is very useful. One of the first things I did when I took over as CEO of Soundstripe was I wanted to talk to customers. Like I wanted to hear not what we were doing well, but what are things we can do better. And so that's a really important part of the process, being there and listening and getting that feedback. And again, if you hear the same things over and over from your customers that are issues, you need to put plans in place to go address those issues. The other thing that I've found interesting with customers is that oftentimes they're going to complain, but they don't even expect a response. They're just sort of venting. And so before Soundstripe, I was the CEO of a company called Park Mobile. And Park Mobile is the app where you pay for parking on your phone, and everybody hates paying for parking. And if the app doesn't work for some reason, they get really mad. And oftentimes they would hunt me down on LinkedIn and send me a really nasty message and just tell me how horrible Park Mobile is and how bad the service is. And I think they never expected me to respond, but I responded to 100% of those messages.
Wow.
And they were often surprised. Some were embarrassed because they were pretty nasty to me in the note. And I usually came back with a very nice reply. But in the end, people just want to feel heard. They want to know that, if they're frustrated with something, that you're listening, you're not ignoring them. And I found that if you just show you're listening, you don't even have to solve the problem necessarily. But you've listened to them, you've heard them out, and you've empathized with their issue. And that really does go a long way in creating a human connection. And again, turning someone who may have been a detractor into at least neutral, but in often cases, turning them into a real advocate or raving fan. And so I do listen. I have tools that track what people are saying about us on social. And, if I can, I'll respond directly and try to solve the problem or try to give a perspective so they understand why they're having the issue.
Which is great. I mean, I tend to think in a visual sense, and when it comes to like a snowball, or like a snowball downhill, and you can see that visual of this small thing that gets bigger. And I almost think it's the exact opposite when it comes to customer service in the way that you discussed it, because it's this big, giant, scary thing, and it's got all this momentum, and it's at the top of the hill, and they hate your guts, and you should never have gotten this job, or you know what I mean? You just get all of that, and then as you talk to them, they're like, oh, okay, they agreed with that. Oh, I didn't you can see people physically get thrown off when you agree with the criticism. You know what I mean? It's so fascinating to see people as they do start to get heard, really power themselves down a little bit, eventually open themselves up. And you can leave it being like, oh, actually, I really like that guy. And what a good conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much harder to be mad at a person than it is to be mad at an app. Right. Like we all sit in front of our computer and complain about like, oh, this software doesn't work, or the website's down, or this app on the phone won't open up. And that's very normal. But when you take it to the next level and you see the humans behind it, it's sometimes harder to get really mad. And especially, I always lead with empathy. And whenever I respond to someone who's angry, it's like, I totally get what you're saying. That's usually my first line. Like, I totally feel your pain. I totally understand. And then that right there, just saying like, I get it. I understand why you're frustrated. That oftentimes will diffuse the issue. And then the person kind of takes a step back. And oftentimes the notes I get back are like, I'm sorry, I was being a jerk. I apologize for the tone of my note. I was just really frustrated. I get a lot of that feedback because, they could see I'm a human. They're a human. I'm trying to lead with empathy, and they give that empathy back. And they're oftentimes sorry that they took such a negative tone in the initial communication.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing how that stuff kind of works out. And there's even been times where, like in my career, I've made mistakes and I've been directly accountable for stuff, and I've taken a beating for it. But we would finish the conversation and it would walk away where like they did actually enjoy working with me more because we were able to have those productive conversations. Like it's such a beautiful thing. And I think it's just, like you said, with empathy, it's just being human, connecting with people, being honest about it. And when you do that, the word is going to spread. People are naturally going to want to suggest you versus those other services who are, in their high towers and too busy for the likes of these plebeian people and their sniveling complaints. Like it means the world. So I love all of that, honestly. Like I think the service is great. Your approach is great. So for everybody who's now gotten the chance to see the human behind Soundstripe, Jeff, what is the best way to learn more about Soundstripe?
You go to soundstripe.com and you could check out our music library. Again, we have an amazing collection of really artist-made music. So this isn't just AI slop. This is like stuff that's made by Grammy award-winning artists and sound engineers. Everything's recorded at 48 kilohertz. So for the music geeks out there, they know that's the highest quality music you can have. So we just have a great library. And it's the thing I love is it's all genres. So depending on the vibe you're going for in your project, you could really, it's almost an endless options in what you can find. And I'm always just pleasantly surprised when I go through our catalog. I mean, some of the stuff sounds like, music that I would hear on the radio. Like, I was like, I can't believe this isn't like a banger hit. This is so good. And so if you're looking for the highest quality music for your projects, you should definitely check it out. And, maybe for your listeners, we'll throw you a discount code if you want to sign up.
Sure. Yeah, we'll put it in the notes. So we'll coordinate all that. Check the notes here, people. But Jeff, thank you so much for hopping on the show. Really appreciate the conversation.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in and making the choice to listen to this podcast. If you liked what you've heard today, please don't forget to subscribe.